Raghav had always been fascinated by stories of the unknown. As a journalist from Delhi, he loved to explore hidden places and write about myths and legends. When he heard about a remote village in Bastar, Chhattisgarh, where people still believed in black magic, he knew he had to visit. Narayanpur was small and quiet, surrounded by thick forests. The villagers were kind but distant, their eyes filled with fear when he asked about Maikamli, the old witch who lived deep in the jungle. An old man warned him, "Don't go near the Shaitani people tree at night. Evil lives there." But Raghav wasn't afraid. He thought it was just an old story. That night, under the pale moonlight, he grabbed his camera and followed the narrow path into the forest. The deeper he went, the heavier the air became. Strange whispers floated through the trees. When he finally reached the cursed tree, his breath caught in his throat. The tree was massive, its branches twisted like clawed fingers. Around it were skulls, broken clay pots, and symbols carved into the bark. A fire burned in front of it, casting flickering shadows. And then he saw her. Maikamli sat hunched over the fire, her long black robes torn and dirty. Her hair was wild, and her fingers were unnaturally long, moving over a small doll made of twigs and human hair. Raghav felt his stomach twist. The doll moved. His hands trembled as he lifted his camera. But before he could click, the air around him shifted. The whispers grew louder, turning into a chorus of voices speaking a language he didn't understand. Maikamli turned to him slowly. Her eyes glowed red. "Who dares disturb my ritual?" she hissed. Raghav's body froze. He wanted to run, but something held him in place. His heart pounded as she raised a hand. An invisible force pulled him forward. "You should not have come here," she whispered, her voice echoing in his head. She touched his forehead with her bony fingers. A searing pain shot through him, and suddenly, he saw horrifying images: villagers crying, their faces twisted in pain, their souls trapped in clay jars. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. Maikamli smiled. "Leave, and never return." With a wave of her hand, he was thrown back. The spell broke, and Raghav stumbled, gasping. He turned and ran, crashing through the forest, his heart racing. The next morning, he woke up in his guest house, drenched in sweat. His camera was missing. But on his arm, there was a burn mark, a strange twisted symbol. The villagers refused to speak to him. That night, he packed his bags and left Narayanpur, never looking back. But the nightmares never stopped. And sometimes, late at night, when he looked into the mirror, he saw her red eyes staring back at him.
If you like this video, subscribe our channel.